Hi everybody, this is Jimmy DeYoung. Welcome to Prophecy Today Video. Here on Prophecy Today Video, we endeavor to cover all the news that is happening around the world. All the news that plays into the prophetic scenario that's found in Bible prophecy for the last days. Today's program is going to be right in line with that plan. And I want you to know that we had some very interesting conversations on our weekend broadcast, Prophecy Today Weekend, that you need to listen to in light of what we're going to be doing on Prophecy Today Video today. On the broadcast, we talked with Colonel Bob McGinnis in Washington about the situation in Libya. We had a Middle East news update from Jerusalem with David Dolan. And we were talking not only about Libya, but what's happening in Syria and as well at the southern border of Israel with Egypt and how that all plays in to a very, very unsettled Middle East today. Winky Madad and Elwood McQuaid discussed the Glenn Beck rally with us in Jerusalem. Dr. Rob Congdon gave us a European Union update, which helps us to understand how the foundations for Bible prophecy for the appearance of Antichrist are being put in place. And from Hebron, a very sacred city to the Jewish people, David Wilder talked about the Arab massacre of the Jewish people back in 1929 and how that plays into what's happening even today. These stories indeed have helped us to see how the world is ready for the word of the ancient Jewish prophets to be fulfilled. By the way, each and every one of these conversations that I had with our broadcast partners can be heard on PTRN at prophecytoday.com. It would be worth your while, I believe, to hear what our broadcast partners had to say. And let me, though, as you're thinking about that, let me remind you that we discuss these political issues because they are setting the stage for the prophetic scenario found in God's Word to be fulfilled. You know, the next event in God's plan for the future is the rapture of the church. The rapture, when Jesus shouts, archangel shouts, trumpet God sounds, and we're caught up to be with him in the air. That's 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 13 to 18. It's also 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 51 to 53, and it's depicted in Revelation chapter 4 and verse 1 when John the Revelator is translated from earth into the third heaven. Then after the rapture of the church, it's the 7-year tribulation period. Both chapters 11 and 12 of the book of Revelation talk about a 1,260-day period of time. 1,260 days is actually 3.5 years, so you have 1,260 days, chapter 11, 1,260 days, chapter 12. We're talking about a 7-year period of time. That's referred to as the tribulation period, a time of Jacob's trouble, a terrible time of judgment upon the earth. Then it's after that 7 years that the second coming, when Jesus Christ comes back to the earth and he steps down on the Mount of Olives in the city of Jerusalem. That's the prophetic scenario found in God's Word for the end times, and you need to understand that. That's the overall big picture. But let me take a moment to show you what I believe starts the clock ticking on this 7-year period of time. In the book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 27, we read this. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Now, we're talking about what Daniel's prophecy was about the end of time. It was a 490-year period of time, or 70 weeks of Daniel. 69 of those weeks, 483 of those years, came to a fulfillment at the time of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. That leaves 7 years, one final week in the 70 weeks of Daniel, and indeed that is that 7-year period of time when the Antichrist will be the major player, and the activities that we talk about on prophecy today will come to pass. It says in Daniel 9:27, and he shall confirm the covenant. That's the Antichrist. Everything seems to be indicating that the European Union is at least the infrastructure for the revived Roman Empire. Daniel tells us in chapter 7 and verses 7 and 8 that the Antichrist comes out of that revived Roman Empire. And so I do believe that the Antichrist is alive and well on planet Earth. He can appear at any moment. And then the text in Daniel 9:27 says he will confirm a covenant, a peace treaty. That doesn't say he's going to sign a peace treaty. There are 3 peace treaties already on the table. The Camp David Accord, peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. You have then the Oslo Accords, a peace treaty between Israel and the Palestinians, and the peace treaty between Israel and Jordan. All 3 of those have never been put in place properly. They are not operating the way they were even written to operate. They've never been, confirmed. And that's exactly what the Antichrist is going to do. Confirm them, strengthen them, make them stronger. And by the way, notice what that does. The Antichrist shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. That starts the clock ticking on the 7-year period of time. The stage is set for that to happen because everybody's talking about peace, peace here, peace there, peace all over the Middle East, all the major world players wanting to have peace in the Middle East, so that stage is set. But quickly go then to chapter 11 of the book of Daniel. In chapter 11, starting there in verse 36, we see that Daniel is talking about, and he's prophesying to the times in which we're living, the king shall do according to his will. That's one of 27 names for that Antichrist will appear. And then in the passage, Daniel 11, verses 36 to 45, you'll see the pronoun he, his, or him. It's referring to the Antichrist. And it says in verse 40 that the king of the south and the king of the north shall push against him. That's in basic understanding of this passage, telling us that the king of the north, which would be Syria, early on in the passage we find that out, and the king of the south, Egypt, that's also in the earlier passage of Daniel 11, will make their way to attack the Jewish state of Israel. They'll make the first move. Look here in verse 43. But this is the Antichrist. Now he's going to be fighting for Israel because they think he's the Messiah, but he is the false Messiah. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver and over all the precious things of Egypt and the Libyans. Now, if you've been paying attention to what I've been teaching, those are 3 major players. The Antichrist will be on the scene, and then 3 major Arab countries will make their move. Syria in the north, Egypt in the south, and Libya. That is exactly what's in play as we look at our world scene today. Well, the stage is set for Daniel chapter 11, verses 40 to 43 to be fulfilled. But remember, the rapture of the church is the next event that is going to happen. That rapture, when he calls Christians, born-again, Bible-believing people, up to be with him forevermore in the heavens, could take place today. That's so exciting. We need to live in light of that truth. That's why we look at these current events in light of Bible prophecy, to help us know where we are. The rapture's next. Having said that, nothing left for me to say except let's keep looking up until